Very good evening, everyone. My name is Shubham Singhania, and I'm your mentor for UGC NET Paper 1, Paper 2, Commerce and Management. And I welcome you all to this very beautiful, very special session on how to crack PhD admissions at top premier institutes such as IIMs and other institutes. And today we have a very, very special guest. She's also my batchmate. She's Miss Sukriti Sekhri. She's pursuing her PhD from IIM Ahmedabad in the area of marketing. She's a final year PhD scholar. एंड आई एम वेरी श्योर कि जो भी आपके इतने सारे तमाम डाउट्स होते थे जो आप मुझसे पूछते रहते थे आई एम वेरी श्योर शी इज गोइंग टू आंसर दैट एंड वी आल्सो हैव already prepared approximately 10-11 questions which is going to answer all of your queries. So first of all, thank you very much Sukriti for accepting the invite and joining us live for this beautiful session, and I'm very sure ki your experience and your success journey and all of what you have experienced at IIM is going to be beautiful, and it's going to be very helpful to all our students watching this particular webinar. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you so much, Shubham, for that warm introduction and for inviting me. And I'm also really looking forward to the session. I hope it's of help.
Let's start with the very first question, very cliche question kind of a thing. That how does it feel to have a transformation from being a student to being a PhD scholar at IIM Ahmedabad, which is a dream for a lot of aspirants?
So in many ways, I would say I still feel like a student, and of course, I will continue to be one throughout. The transformation that you speak of, I think I do feel that ever since I started the journey, at the time, I was really not sure at all of how academia works or how the PhD journey is going to be. I didn't even know for sure what research would entail, what all would be within the ambit of research, right? So I think after coming here, I have now at least been equipped with some of the basics and some methodologies, exposure to some literature, and getting to know more about my field, which is marketing. And I feel all the more passionate for learning more. And as the cliched saying goes, that the more time you spend in a PhD program, the more you get to know how much you don't know. So now I just realized the depth of all that I'm yet to learn, and which is, of course, a wonderful thing to look forward to going forward.
Fantastic, absolutely, and totally agree with that. Being a PhD scholar myself, कि जितना ज़्यादा हम उसमें घुसते जाते हैं, उतना लगता है कुछ नहीं आता है.
बिल्कुल.
So that should be the first noteworthy point that all the viewers should be making note of. Sukriti, that brings me to the prominent question, again a cliche question, that I just want to give our viewers your background in terms of your educational qualification so that they have a fair idea. And of course, one more added question, loaded question, I would say, that is it so that you need such good academic background to get into IIMs, or do we need something else also? So please throw a light on this.
Sure. So I'll start with the first part. My educational background. So I have been born and brought up in Delhi, and I was at Sardar Patel Vidyalaya there. I did my whole schooling there, and it was a very beautiful foundation, not just for academics, but also that the emphasis was on all-round development, holistic development, co-curriculars, everything. So also it was there that I learned that, so the ethos of my school was that you don't have to compete with others around you, but it's more about excelling and achieving your own best potential, which is something I have tried to imbibe and carry forward with me. So after that, in 11th, I took up commerce as my chosen discipline. And then I was very clear that BCom honors karna hai and BU se hi karna hai, because at the time I had SRCC as my dream college. So I prepared for that, and I managed to get very good marks in my 12th. And then I joined SRCC, which was of course a fantastic 3 years at the time. And then after which there was this dilemma that whether I should sit for placements and join that, which is something a lot of peers were doing, or the other option was to pursue higher studies. So for me, since childhood, matlab ye sapna raha hai ki I wanted to get into academia. And around me, my mother, my nana, who was a botany professor, a lot of my masis, a lot of relatives have been in this field. So growing up in that sort of environment, I've been blessed to have those interactions and be surrounded by a lot of good insights. And so I think I drew my inspiration from that, and I wanted to pursue higher education. So I took up the MCom entrance and made it to Delhi School of Economics, Department of Commerce, where I did my MCom. And in second year, I had the choice of specialization. So I picked up marketing, which is something I was always very passionate about. So it was through that base that then I decided कि ठीक है अब PhD करते हैं, and marketing was my chosen discipline. So then I went ahead and joined IIM Ahmedabad. So I've been just studying throughout. And as for your second question, whether academics is the most important thing, I think it's a tricky one because I don't have a straight answer. I would say that it's also important to focus on holistic development, like I said, focusing on all parts of you as a human being, and whatever hobbies you have, whatever makes you happy, to pursue that alongside. But of course, yes, academics have to be a strong foundation, has to be there. I mean, only after that will you be able to build on that. So I do believe that focus on academics is important while also then pursuing other interests.
That makes sense also, because see, if you have to get into a premier college like IIM Ahmedabad, certainly cracking their interviews, cracking their challenging interviews, rather I should say, it's without having a good academic background, without having good grasp on the concepts that you have read in your graduation, masters, it would ultimately become very difficult. That is what I personally feel. So Sukriti, in the same light of question, all those students who are not coming from such a rich background in terms of their graduation, post graduation, what should they be looking forward to? उनका focus कहाँ होना चाहिए so that they can bridge this gap? Because कई बार ऐसा होता है that people come from tier 2 cities जहाँ पे बहुत अच्छी कॉलेज की फैसिलिटीज नहीं होती हैं, एक्स्ट्रा करिकुलर एक्टिविटीज नहीं होती हैं, तो बहुत ज्यादा उनका ओवरऑल डेवलपमेंट नहीं हो पाता. So let's say they have pursued their graduation from there, let's say masters दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी से कर लिया. Now if they're aiming for such top institutes, जो कि बहुत prominent question होगा काफी सारे viewers का, तो उनको किस तरीके से align करना चाहिए so that they're able to crack such prestigious colleges interviews for PhD and all?
Right. That's a good question. And I think there are a few things that one can try which may be helpful. So first is to sit with yourself and to introspect and have that clarity कि आपको क्यों करना है, जो भी करना है, whether that is PhD or whatever else you plan to take up. So एक बार वो अंदर से आपको अपने से पूछकर ये उत्तर चाहिए कि why do you want to pursue this? What is the goal for or end goal for it? What is your vision? कि आप अब ये कोर्स करेंगे तो इसके बाद आप क्या चाहते हैं इससे? What do you want out of this? Where do you see yourself in the future? तो इन सब चीजों का अच्छे से बैठ के you have to sit with yourself and think. And एक बार अगर वो दृढ़ संकल्प है, so I firmly believe and I'm very optimistic that then you put your mind to it and hard work करेंगे तो बिल्कुल achieve हो सकता है, achievable है. It's not that you need premier institute or some such backing, but if you have it in you, and of course like you said, basic concepts are clear, that drive is within you, and you know कि मुझे ये पढ़ के this is something that you actually want and you have set your mind to it, I think it's very possible. What I mean when I say कि clarity होनी चाहिए is that so PhD, as we all know, is a long journey. It's a 4 to 5 year program at most places. It requires not just intelligence, but also perseverance, willingness to keep facing. Sometimes there will be setbacks, sometimes there will be ups and downs, but to just keep going and to persevere is the most important trait, in my opinion. And therefore, if you have that idea कि ठीक है मुझे सिर्फ ये टाइटल के लिए या फैंसी डिग्री के लिए नहीं करना है, but it's something in which my heart lies, whether it's to get into academia or something else, or you just want to get to the depth of your discipline, whatever the reason is, जो भी आपका motivation है आप उसको ढूंढिए, and then definitely I'm sure you will be able to get to the path.
I think Sukriti, that's a wonderful message, because 90% of the students whom I speak to, उनके दिमाग में यही होता है कि सर ग्रेजुएशन और पोस्ट ग्रेजुएशन तो हमारे टियर 2 कॉलेजेस से हुई है, so whether we are even eligible या हम कितना compete कर पाएंगे. So I think you have well answered that question. Also I feel कि बाहर से बैठ के जब कोई इंसान किसी को देखता है कि PhD परस्यू कर रहा है, तो उनको ऐसा लगता है कि लाइफ बहुत रोजी सी होगी, बिल्कुल इन्होंने अच्छे इंस्टीट्यूट में एडमिशन ले लिया है. But as research scholars, I'm sure you would agree also that we constantly keep facing problem to discover where we are leading towards. कहाँ हम मूव कर रहे हैं, we are actually finding our ways. लगता है ऐसे कि पूरा एक पाथवे 5 साल का क्लियर आउट चॉक आउट करके मिला हुआ है, बट एक्चुअली ऐसा नहीं होता. वी आर कॉन्स्टेंटली लुकिंग फॉरवर्ड्स टुवर्ड्स वेरियस वेज जहां पे हम एंटर कर जाएं एंड वी रीच टुवर्ड्स an enlightenment path of enlightenment, I would say.
Absolutely. So in many ways, me and my friends often discuss this कि जैसे research journey या PhD journey is so much like life journey, and it's not just कि आप एक डिग्री या एक कोर्स कर रहे हैं, but it's that whatever you are going through, suppose you've picked up a problem or a research question which you're exploring, जब भी आप उसके उस level तक जा रहे हैं where maybe nobody else has gone before, which is the idea of original research, some novel contribution you are making. So of course there are going to be times where maybe there is some confusion कि अब next क्या करें, and maybe you are looking for guidance, and of course you will find that support and guidance, of course, but at the same time you have to have that inner strength and belief, जो कि as in life में भी जब भी कोई issue आता है, कोई दिक्कत आती है, तो of course we rely on our support network, but अपने अंदर भी वो संकल्प रखना है, right, that you have to keep that strength within you and that motivation.
राइट मुझे एक बहुत ही अच्छा यहाँ पे एक सिचुएशन याद आ रही है जो मैं अपने स्टूडेंट्स और सबको बताना चाहूंगा कि पीएचडी की खास बात क्या है, यू हैव गॉन इनटू एन स्ट्रेंज रूम, एक ऐसी रूम में आप चले गए हैं जहां के बारे में आपको कुछ भी नहीं पता कि कहाँ लाइट है, कहाँ स्विच है, यू जस्ट कीप टॉसिंग अप योर हैंड्स एंड ऑल, एंड कहीं सही मोमेंट पे, सही टाइम पे, सही गाइडेंस के थ्रू सही स्विच पे हाथ लगेगा और बत्ती जल जाएगी. इट इज लाइक दैट. PhD is actually like that, जो काफी सारे लोगों को नहीं रियलाइज होता when before they have actually entered into it. So I think काफी सारे myths आपने सुकृति हटा दिए हैं. So thank you very much for doing that.
Thank you. And just to add to that, Shubham, I would also like to say कि now more and more I'm realizing कि सिर्फ वो switch ढूंढना ही नहीं, लेकिन वो कमरे में जब आप भटक रहे हैं and you're trying to search for answers, there's beauty in that journey as well.
Right. The process is also important. You're learning a lot of things during that process.
Absolutely. At least you know कि इस दीवार में switch नहीं है. That's also a learning.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. That made a lot of sense. Sukriti, now the next question is that काफी सारे लोगों को inside out नहीं पता होता that how does this 5 years PhD program at IIMs or at various institutes looks like. So
right.
Can you just throw briefly some light on how is the actual structure, coursework कैसा होता है, first year में क्या होता है, and all that.
Okay, sure. So I'll answer very broadly because a disclaimer that this keeps changing year to year. So my biggest advice would be to any PhD aspirant, please keep updating yourself with the website and whatever dream institutions you are looking up to, just keep checking what all are their latest rules because they keep updating the brochure and admission requirements. But typically the structure of the program, at least at management institutes that I'm aware of, is that first couple of years, 2 years आपका coursework चलता है where you do a variety of courses, some of which could be more management focused, but others will be focusing on your chosen discipline. So like in my case, it's marketing. For someone else, it can be finance, OB, HR, whatever management fields you have picked up. And उसमें आप बहुत ही depth तक जाते हैं. So it's a seminar sort of structure, जहाँ पर you are given some papers, some readings, which are considered the seminal pieces in the field, and आप वो पढ़कर prepare करके आते हैं, and you sit and discuss with the professor. Sometimes you present also. So it's a very nice format of learning, और उससे काफी ज़्यादा one feels enriched with whatever is going on in one's field. So it's a nice experience. After which there is this stage of comprehensive exam कि 2 साल आपने जो भी पढ़ाई की है तो उसमें जितना भी anything under the sun can come in the comprehensive exam, as the name suggests. And again, that exam can also be different formats, whether it's take home, whether it's a writing assignment, or it can be an in-class exam. ऐसे हर field का और हर institute का अलग रहता है. And once you clear that stage, उसके बाद आप start करते हैं कि आप अपना topic चुने, fine tune करें, and you create a research proposal. So your research proposal basically lays down कि what is it that I want to study, उसमें मेरे क्या क्या hypotheses हैं, मुझे क्या लगता है what will be the relationship of whatever variables I'm studying, what is the current work that has been done, that is your literature review, right? So आप उसमें you lay down your plan, research plan कि अब आप क्या करेंगे, which you have to formally present in front of your professors and your peers. जब वो approve हो जाता है उसके बाद जो 1.5-2 साल बचे हैं उसमें you fully focus on your topic. And then you are called a PhD candidate in the final stage, after which आपका defense and you are through.
Good enough. So if I summarize, the first 2 years approximately are going to be the coursework. Right. Next 1 year is going to be the finalization of synopsis. And the final 2 years is going to be the final doing the actual research of working on your research problem and then publishing the research articles and thesis. Correct.
So broadly, that is the structure. Of course, person to person. बिल्कुल. And PhD is again a very, very customized course in the sense कि मेरा experience will be different from the next person's experience and so on. So it's very individually driven. आपके topic पे, आपके research interest पे, उस पे depend करेगा. And what all coursework you have picked पे depend करेगा. Some people also carry on in 3rd year doing some coursework while some may not want to. So It's highly customizable.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Kriti, now a lot of our viewers are going to be those who have just either passed their masters, have given
Okay.
their net, or who are in the final year of their masters. That is
Right.
going to be the ratio. And some of them might be those who have some work experience and now they have qualified UGC net exam.
Correct.
So, through your experience, I would like to know that how to actually begin with your preparations for PhDs.
Okay. So I think it's the perfect time if you're in your final year of masters. So at least from personal experience, this is the time when I started actively considering ki apply karna hai. So basically, for me, I had also taken the UGC NET JRF in commerce, and I cleared that in the first attempt. But the issue was that in January the results came out, January 2017, and in that year, various colleges were closing their PhD admission around the same time. So because I wasn't sure ki eligibility ke time tak will I have received my letter that I have cleared NET JRF. So as backup plan, I took the GMAT in October of the previous year, October 2016. So my biggest advice to anybody looking to be a PhD aspirant would be ki time apne saath rakhe, prepare in advance, and if you want to get into this, then start planning early. So only if you know कि अच्छा typically result of this exam comes at this time, then you can go ahead and plan. And preparation process में क्या है कि you can do your research, go to the website of whatever colleges you are interested in. You can create a list of your dream colleges. आपको कहाँ पे जाने की इच्छा है, कहाँ पढ़ने की इच्छा है. Start reading about that. So most often website is the best source of information. In fact, most colleges put up a lot of good material, brochures regarding the program. They will put up details about abhi professors, what are they working on, what are current students working on. You can connect with them if you have some queries and everything. And peer network of course helps. So if you know somebody जो वहाँ पे हैं, बिल्कुल उनसे in touch होइए. I'm sure they'll be happy to guide you through that. That is how I broadly started preparing. Then of course admission process entails a lot of different steps after that.
Right. Okay, fair enough, fair enough. So we got the basic idea कि once you have qualified your NET JRF, you should start looking for at least those premier colleges or whatever colleges which are there in your mind that okay, I want to get into this college.
Absolutely.
And start surfing the websites and all.
Yes, and one more word of caution or something important to note is that not every PhD college has NET JRF as the eligibility criteria. So please be sure to check on time कि जिस जगह पे आप जाना चाहते हैं, whatever course you want to apply to, उसमें कौन सा exam is required for eligibility. At times it may be CAT, it may be GMAT, it may be some other exam. Right. So वो चीज sure check करनी है, sure shot check करनी है to not be caught off guard at the end.
Absolutely, absolutely. So Sukriti, this was all about the college, finding for the college and everything.
Right.
How do they actually start with their research proposal, or what could be the probable sources? कहाँ से start करना चाहिए actually? Because अभी क्या होता है, the moment they crack their NET JRF, उनके दिमाग में एक रोजी सी इमेज होती है कि JRF crack हो गया, but they don't know that how to move ahead, search for a research topic, search for a research problem, or how do they actually begin with their research proposal? So if you could guide them a bit about proposal making or something about various sources that they can start reading initially.
Okay, sure. So like I said, first step is just to have that clarity कि ये करना है और क्यों करना है, what is your vision in your mind. And once you have that clear, then you can start thinking about which discipline, which field interests you. Of course, it also depends on whether you've specialized in that particular domain, right? And उसके बाद then broadly one can start looking up कि अभी तक उस field में क्या काम हुआ है. Suppose I'm interested in, let's say, influencer marketing, which is an upcoming trending sort of topic. So I can just go to Google Scholar and search a little about influencer marketing, get to know a little bit about what is the current state of literature, how is the formal conversation around that proceeding, what are the important aspects or important hypotheses that somebody has proposed, or maybe some studies someone has conducted. So broad area का idea हो सकता है. Other than that, again इसमें क्या है कि each college to college differ करता है. So I will again come back to the point of check the website. What the college needs is important. Some colleges want a full-fledged research proposal right at the entrance stage कि they want you to come with your topic कि आप क्या पढ़ेंगे वहाँ पे join करने के बाद. हो सकता है किसी college में 3-year program भी होता है that you just go and start off. But in certain other colleges they are much more flexible that they just want to know कि आपका interest कहाँ lie करता है, but that in the coursework phase they expect कि आप जब सब कुछ पढ़ के you will get the exposure to various topics, then you will fine tune your idea. तो जस्ट बी श्योर कि wherever you are applying उधर कौन सा मेथड फॉलो होता है ज्यादातर. Do they want you to come with a crystal clear idea, or do they want you to have maybe 2-3 different avenues or aspects that you're interested in, which you can then fine tune later?
Good enough, good enough. I realized that you ended up giving a lot of marketing scholars a topic that is influencer marketing. Because they keep asking me, sir, kuch topics bata do, but certainly I can only tell them about finance or probably corporate governance. So you probably gave them a bit of hint ki how they can go forward. So thank you, Sukriti.
But of course, it depends on their interest.
Right, of course,
Right.
right. Sukriti, now my next question to you is that what all are the steps of the admission process? Can you
Okay.
detail us about that? क्या क्या होता है, मतलब क्या एंट्रेंस प्रोसेस कुछ अलग होता है IIMs का, या do they take their separate entrance? उसके बाद how do they go forward in terms of successive stages from applying till the actual selection as a PhD scholar?
Okay, so that's going to be a huge answer, I think, because there are several steps involved. So, like I said, कि कुछ time पहले से starting reading up about the website, on the website, and checking requirements is a good idea. Then next thing is that it's important to know that what all steps are involved. Like first step is that there is this statement of purpose that is required, which we call as SOP, right? So statement of purpose, consider that as a sort of a longer version of your description of, it contains various different elements. For instance, it will have why you want to do this program, why a PhD, right? Then why a PhD from this particular institute that you're applying to, why this particular area, which is marketing, finance, etc. Where do you visualize yourself in the future, right? So ऐसे broad headings होते हैं. Some colleges give you a broad question which helps कि क्या क्या आपको आंसर करना है उसमें ही given होता है. Sometimes they will just give a broad like just a blank question कि आप अपना SOP लिख दीजिए. So at that time you have to be sure and certain what all you want to include there. There are many good resources available online as well, but just be sure to answer each and every part of whatever they could be interested in knowing about you as a potential candidate. So SOP is different from CV because CV में आपके facts लिखे हैं कि आपने क्या पढ़ा है, आप कहाँ पे work ex करके आए हैं, उस तरह से. But SOP is almost like fleshing you out as a human being. It's giving color to your personality. So I think it's a very important part of the admission whole booklet or portfolio, if I may call it, that they get to know how you are as a person. That's their first glimpse of you as a person through their sheet or paper or electronically, right? And again, SOP का बहुत important है to keep checking which college has what word limit. What do they, sometimes they have smaller questions. They will just ask why this college, why this program. Sometimes they'll give you a 1500 word essay instead. So ये सब important points हैं, ध्यान रखना कि what is the requirement, right? So this is an important part of the admission program process. And then second important part is LOR, which is letter of recommendation. So many of the students might be familiar that letter of recommendation is about, it's about somebody who has known you or worked with you, or somebody senior like a professor, or if you have work ex, then somebody who's superior to you at the workplace, who can vouch that this person is a hardworking individual, that they're learning oriented, and so on. Whatever it is that you want to bring out through the letter of recommendation. Again, इसमें important क्या है? Time फिर से important हो जाता है. You don't want to be approaching your professors or your boss at the last minute and saying परसों application देना है तो please आप लिख दें. You want to give them enough time. You want to perhaps possibly go and meet them or call up and ask them, request them for a letter of recommendation. And most colleges have 2 or 3 letter of recommendation का requirement. So आप time से सोचिए कि who do you want to approach, who has seen your development through college or through your work, right? Who knows that you are a good fit for the PhD program and who can vouch for your capability. So that's another, big chunk of the admission part, admission process. Other than that, then of course, once this is shortlisted, oh yes, and third, of course, important part is the exam, eligibility exam, which I think we've already touched upon. So please check कि आपके field में आपको जिस college में जाना है, उधर कौन से eligibility exams make you able to apply, and be sure that you have a decent enough attempt at that and a good score and everything. After which they of course check your academics also. So ये पूरा बड़ा सा admission portfolio आपका बन के जाता है जब, उसके बाद then you will get a call for interview if you've made it to the next round, and then interview commences, which can comprise both technical questions which are from your field as well as some broader general questions. Again, SOP comes in handy here because they know आपने क्या लिखा है. SOP में another important part that you can write is about your research interests. If you have any prior work experience in terms of research, or if you, for instance, you presented at a conference, or if you have maybe got a journal publication, or you have some inclination कि मुझे ये field में पढ़ना है, or this is a proposal that I have, all of that, again, depending on उस college के क्या requirements हैं, you may have to write that separately or within the SOP itself. So all that will also come in at the interview stage. जब वो clear हो जाता है, then you finally make it. So it's a long drawn process.
Right. So I think it was actually a very long process because apart from this, जो बाकी जगह institutes में होता है, वहाँ पे it's much more simple, I would say, because I've been to few places. It was a simpler process, but this is a much more detailed process. So thank you for enlightening us, Sukriti.
Most welcome.
Now, next important, since we have talked about a lot about statement of purpose. So
Correct.
Can you specifically enlist what are the specific components जो स्टेटमेंट ऑफ पर्पस में इंक्लूड करने चाहिए स्टूडेंट्स को? बिकॉज होता क्या है कि स्टूडेंट्स को ये तो पता है कि स्टेटमेंट ऑफ पर्पस है, बट दे डू नॉट गेट टू हैव द इंपॉर्टेंट एलिमेंट्स और कंपोनेंट्स जो उसमें स्पेसिफिकली इंक्लूड करना चाहिए. सो इफ यू कैन ब्रीफ अ लिटिल बिट अबाउट दैट.
Okay. So again, it will, all my answers are sounding very broad, but I just want to share key statement of purpose is a very, very personal statement. And that's another name which it's called by, is your personal statement, simply because there is no one format or correct way to go about it. It really depends on who you are as a person and what you want to reflect in your statement, right? So I cannot give any tuck formula कि ये लिखना है या फिर ये करना है, but of course I can share maybe in my opinion what are some good practices that can be helpful. So number one is that statement of purpose is not equal to your CV, and this is something I already touched upon, that CV will cover your facts, but statement of purpose has to go beyond that. So it would be helpful if you are able to list out maybe some anecdotes or some personal instances when you're talking about an experience. For instance, my CV will say that I have done my MCom from Delhi School of Economics, right? But my SOP may talk about कि जब मैं वहाँ पर थी, then what did I do? Or what was some learning that I got from there, or some skill that I upgraded, or something that I contributed to over there, whether it was in marketing society or something else, right? So SOP will help flesh out who I am as a person and all of the experiences and skills and everything that I'm carrying with me while applying. So that is an important point, that it should not only be facts. Then second, I think it's important to talk about your future goals and vision. So it should not just be कि मैंने अभी तक ये किया है, but अब आप आगे क्या करना चाहते हैं? So what is your purpose, right? The name itself says statement of purpose. What is your purpose in applying to this program, in getting a PhD? Again, यहाँ पर वो clarity वाला step बहुत help करेगा.
Why
कि if
PhD
you have,
probably?
Exactly. So if you have sat down with yourself and introspected कि क्यों करना है, तो वो why PhD का answer will come to you quickly and easily. And that is not something जो कोई और आपको बता सकता है. Only you know what you want from this. Whether it is to hone your skills in your area or to get into academia, so you know this is the stepping stone, or you just want to, you're fascinated with the subject and you want to learn nitty-gritties of research, right? So all of that, whatever it is, there's no right or wrong again.
Right.
So, but you have to specify that or elucidate that in your statement of purpose. Next is why that institution. That's also important. तो ऐसा बिल्कुल भी ना करें कि एक SOP बना दिया, उसी को 6 जगह भेजा, ऐसा नहीं करना है. Whatever is your dream university, backup university, all of that, be sure कि आपने उसकी research करी है, उसकी website पे जाके अच्छे से समझा है, what will life be like over there. Visualize yourself studying there, working there. Then in your SOP, make sure to bring that out, that yes, you are aware what it will entail to be a student of XYZ university, right? Make it customized, right? So that is an important tip I have picked up. And another thing is, of course, being able to demonstrate that you have expertise and skill set in the area you want to study, whether that's marketing, finance, etc., etc., and also showing some maybe either academic proven record or showing that you have already got some experience, whether it's in terms of research or work, right? So just demonstrating that you have the ability, but also showing that you have the potential to learn more. So all of that will come out in maybe a section about your chosen field where you want to study, in which you want to explore more. broad topics अभी यही आ रहे हैं in mind off the top of my
I
head.
think fair enough. I think you have enlisted them very beautifully. I think सारे components आपने cover कर लिए. Sukriti, just one more additional question with this. Do these students, when they're applying or they are mentioning in the statement of purpose, do they have to actually pick up a topic? Let's say if whether they have to just say that okay, we are interested into some concepts holistically, some concepts of marketing or finance, or do they actually went on to actually mention that okay, influencer marketing or meta marketing or anything of that sort? So which of these is being followed there?
So
Or
again,
what is your suggestion going? What is your suggestion going to be?
Right. So again, I would say there is not one correct method that I'm aware of, and it depends person to person. There is no one correct way कि ऐसे ही लिखेंगे तो that is considered good. But point is that whatever path you choose to take, again you have to back it up with this demonstration that yes, you are somebody who has either already read about it, has some experience in it, or that you have the ability to learn, that you're genuinely interested in it. Maybe you've read some papers and you now know that there is this idea you want to pursue. So it really depends. And I have seen people who have followed both approaches.
It will vary basically from person to
Correct.
person.
Absolutely. So there's no one right way.
At least we are breaking a myth in front of a lot of students कि उनके दिमाग में एक already एक दिमाग में बसा हुआ है, because क्या है कि graduation में एक stick format है, post graduation में एक stick format है. So a lot of students whom I speak to, उनके दिमाग में एक already ready-made solution होता है कि सर ready-made solution बता दो कि statement of purpose में क्या क्या डालना है. So probably
बिल्कुल ऐसा नहीं है.
हाँ, but by telling them we are actually informing them, well informing them कि ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है.
So again, it brings me back to the idea of enough time लेकर चलें. So I'll share my personal experience कि I actually started writing my SOP when I was still in my final year of masters, and October November के time में, and you know, several months in advance of the actual deadline, because I knew कि it required several steps. पहले लिखा, उसके बाद उसे revise किया, refine किया, then maybe shared with some knowledgeable peers or with my seniors, asked them for their input, edited it further, etc. etc. So give yourself that time कि आप आराम से उसको absorb करें, लिखें, bring out the best version of yourself, and not कि ये लिखना है करके खत्म किया, ऐसा नहीं. So that would be my suggestion. Yes.
Fantastic. Sukriti, now we have spoken about a lot about statement of purpose. Now some insight on how should they actually prepare for an interview. Interview के लिए कैसे prepare करना चाहिए? What should be the things they should be looking forward to?
Okay. तो जैसे कि several people would have had experience of UGC NET JRF. So if I were to ask उसके लिए कैसे prepare करना है, तो again उसका simple answer नहीं है. Idea is that if you are applying to a particular field, it's like everything under the sun is your syllabus, if as long as it belongs to that particular field, right? So the idea being that ऐसा नहीं है कि कोई set syllabus है कि ये पढ़ के definitely आपका preparation हो जाएगा. At the same time, I would say that आप जो SOP में लिखते हैं, plus जो आपका work ex रहा है, and whatever you bring to the table will be considered definitely. Usually that has been my experience. That suppose I'm from engineering background, somebody else is from commerce background, तो ऐसा नहीं होगा कि commerce वाले से engineering questions पूछे जा रहे हैं, definitely. So they will take care that your experience, your expertise is coming into play. Having said that, again, like with all my answers, that there is no set formula कि ये पढ़ के गए तो definitely clear हुआ. So I would just say brush up your basics, fundamentals एकदम strong रखने हैं, concepts clear रखने हैं, and of course whatever you have written in your SOP you should know and be prepared to answer on that. So I think that should be a good starting point.
Right. Sukriti, one more question related to interview only. Ki, what are they actually expecting in general? Very generic, very broad question. What are they expecting that you're very well versed? Because काफी सारे students के दिमाग में ये question होता है कि सर अगर हम IIMs में जा रहे हैं तो they are expecting that we should be very good in terms of research and statistics. So ऐसा कुछ है या ऐसा कुछ rigid framework है that they're expecting that you have to be very expert in statistics and research, or just having a good clarity or sound level of knowledge in terms of basics is going to be sufficient?
So again, I don't think I'm equipped to answer this question because each person's interview experience has been very, very different. And given that I had my admission interview in 2017, तो तब से अब में भी बहुत changes आ चुके हैं. So my request to students would just be कि keep updated with website पे क्या लिखा है, brochure में क्या है, and it's a good idea to connect. Usually colleges have mentor program sort of thing happening where they will give you one or two contacts of students who are currently studying there. तो उनसे पूछिए and समझिए कि best approach क्या रहेगी. I think that's a good starting point.
Right.
Right.
Good enough. now Sukriti, a lot of academic questions we have already dealt in. Now, just a very brief about what has been your daily routine. Just take us through a sneak peek into the life of a PhD scholar at IIMs. दिन भर क्या करते हैं? Schedule, and also that we get a glimpse of kitne time you spend in reading, or how much is the lecture, how what do you say, how much time do you spend in lectures, kitna time aap बाकी और activities में देते हैं? Just a sneak peek into.
So again, it will be a very personal answer because ये सबका different है. Like I said, highly customized program, and it will vary from stage to stage. So first 2 years जब coursework था, most of the time would go into classroom prep, either studying. There are a lot of pre-readings जो कि हर class के पहले आप prepare करके जाते हैं as a student. So either preparing for that or studying for some test or exam or the other, and of course attending the classroom lectures. तब of course pandemic नहीं था, तो fortunately classroom experience हो पाया. So physically attending classes. So most of the time in first 2 years was spent in acquiring so much knowledge and getting to know about the field. Of course, उसके साथ साथ फिर in the PhD courses there is an expectation कि आप साथ में अपनी original research भी start करें. तो छोटा छोटा, whether it's in the form of a term paper, some topic you pick up that you like and you start pursuing that. So all of that brief exposure to research happened, which was very exciting. After which comprehensive exam stage जब आया तो मेरा daily schedule बिल्कुल ही अलग था. You would find me in the library most times, just studying and getting to know more and more about whatever was involved in the field of marketing, different courses and formats. And then वो comprehensive exam stage जो कि थोड़ा सा study heavy वाला phase था, उसके बाद जब independent research वाला time आया तो एकदम से अलग schedule था, because now it's in the second part of the PhD, it's mostly upon you as a student कि आप कैसे अपना दिनचर्या या अपना routine बनाते हैं. And I think that also brings me to a very important point that I've found more and more, it's very important to have a sense of discipline, जो again अंदर से आना है, because nobody will be
running
looking,
after you basically.
Yes, exactly. There will be no schedule or timetable you have to follow कि आज मेरी इतने से इतने बजे ये class है तो वहाँ पे जाना ही है. So it's a good idea कि खुद को ही वो structure provide करें, whether it is whatever works for you, whether it is going to the library, sitting there and studying, creating a 9 to 5 sort of structure, or just doing 3 hours a day and then maybe doing some other activity, whatever it is. So there's no right or wrong way. Again, you will find me saying that multiple times, but it's that research is such a creative sort of process कि I don't think कोई एक correct तरीका है कि आपको इतने घंटे बैठना है या ये करना है. Sometimes हमारे दिमाग में भी वो problem चल रहा होता है. We are thinking about it while we are going for a jog or while we are engaging in some other activity. So good thing is that I have made it a point, and again schooling and my parents' upbringing comes to play, that सिर्फ academia पे focus नहीं किया, सब कुछ और साथ में pursue किया. So I have been into dramatics, into singing, and dancing, all of these things. So you would find me taking part in all activities happening in college. And I personally feel that's very important to keep yourself focused also, क्योंकि फिर जब काम करने आते हैं तो renewed energy के साथ आते हैं.
I think ये सबसे important question था जो मुझे लग रहा है, because बहुत सारे students के दिमाग में एक मिथ बना रहता है, एक ऑलरेडी एक माइंडसेट बना हुआ है कि यार आईएम से होंगे तो दिन भर बस पढ़ते रहते होंगे. सो यू आर ब्रेकिंग दैट मिथ टुडे.
But again, Shubham, I will come with a disclaimer कि if you talk to the next person, हो सकता है कि उनका routine बिल्कुल अलग हो, and there are several people who may not like कि distraction इस तरह से, right? So again, it's a hugely personal sort of
personal
thing.
choice basically.
And like we discussed earlier कि PhD journey is equal to your life journey. तो जिस तरह से आप अपना daily routine life में बिताना चाहते हैं, you can try and imbibe that in PhD as well for all-rounded development. That's a personal opinion.
Right,
but,
of course.
Right.
Makes sense. So Sukriti, last question, then we can take up the queries of our students who have posted it. Definitely. What is one advice that you would like to give to future aspirants now? Now you probably are going to pass out this year, if I'm not wrong. So a whole journey of 4-5 years now. So I think you are well equipped to give them advices in terms of on your personal experience की क्या चीज उनको ध्यान रखनी है. So please.
One advice, so looking at my track record of long answers, थोड़ा मुश्किल लग रहा है, but if I have to pick just one thing, I would say again that self-belief रखना बहुत ज़्यादा important है, and just being clear that this is what you have set your mind on, whether it's a PhD program or your heart lies elsewhere, whatever it is, जो भी है उसको बहुत ज़्यादा दिल में पक्का रखिए, and then determination के साथ उस तक जाइए. तो I firmly believe and I'm optimistic that whatever you dream of will be yours. And I'm also reminded of something that my mother keeps humming, which is a school song जो मेरे बचपन में, and a lot of people would have heard it, जो बस 2 lines हैं कि लहरों से डर कर नौका पार नहीं होती, कोशिश करने वालों की हार नहीं होती. So these 2 lines actually sum up the fact that if you put in an honest attempt and an effort, कोशिश करेंगे तो definitely whatever you dream of will be yours. So that will be my top advice. But of course, throughout the video, I think I've shared other advices. So to speak.
Yes, I think that makes a lot of sense because वो एक ओम शांति ओम में कहावत भी है ना कि अगर आप किसी चीज को दिलो जान से चाहें तो पूरी कायनात आपके पीछे लग जाती है उस चीज को अचीव कराने. So that makes a lot of sense.
I completely agree. Yes.
Yeah. Now we can take a few questions from students. So I think broadly आपने सारे questions already answer कर दिए हैं सुकृति. One question that I see that is being coming up again and again is कि whether it is a better way to go for an instant PhD post your post graduation, or is there going to be any kind of advantages if you have some kind of corporate experience?
So I think looking at the trend of answers, you would already know the answer, which is that it really depends on the individual. I do know several people who have pursued PhD after WorkX, after several years of getting that experience in a corporate setup and then deciding कि हमें academia में आना है, or people like myself who have joined straight after their academic journey, right? So both have their pros and cons. ऐसा नहीं है कि एक तरीका is better way. I think again it boils down to what is it you want. Your internal जो introspection वाला step that I was talking about comes in handy here. कि आपको clarity है कि अभी करना है, or maybe you want some exposure to some work experience, or you want to try out different things. पर जब भी आप try करें कि PhD के लिए जाना है, तो definitely that resolve has to be there. कि हाँ मुझे ये करना है, sure shot. I have explored what all opportunities are best for me, and now I have set my mind on this.
So I think we have very well answered all the questions because majority questions are very very specific. So I feel कि जैसे through all your answers it has been reflected that there are going to be different kind of a trajectory for different kinds of people. So I think एक set of rule या specific rule नहीं set up कर सकते that okay if there is a gap तो benefit होगा या gap है तो benefit नहीं होगा. So I think it's going to be a personal experience. So I think we have very well taken all the questions.
And again, adding to that is कि जो भी आपका decision है, you have to be able to justify and provide factual evidence for that. So whatever it is, whether it's studies के बाद आना या काम के बाद आना या gap के बाद आना, जो भी है, आप उसको अच्छे से explain कर पाएं, whether in your SOP or during your interview, अपने में clarity रखें. So it boils down to that.
I think conviction जो interview में दिखता है, that matters a lot.
Right. And which will only come once conviction अंदर है.
Of course, जब खुद से ही clarity नहीं होगी तो interview में कैसे conviction?
बिल्कुल.
So thank you so much, Sukriti. I think it has been lovely talking to you, and I think we have answered all the important questions. बहुत सारी चीजें जिसके बारे में मुझे भी knowledge नहीं थी, मुझे भी बहुत कुछ जानने का मौका मिला. So
thank you, Shubham,
very much, and it has been lovely talking to you. Thank you very much.
Likewise, I really enjoyed myself. I hope it's been helpful. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.